This video is for The Living Earth, Unit 1.4, Biomes. Today's essential question is, what are the factors that determine Earth's aquatic biomes? Our first main idea: abiotic factors affect life in aquatic biomes. Organisms in aquatic biomes are impacted by a number of abiotic factors, which include chemical and physical variables such as salinity, pH, light, and temperature. All but the shallowest wetlands, streams, and ponds are affected by changes in abiotic factors with depth. These changes may result in the vertical stratification, meaning different layers with different conditions, often occupied by different organisms. Light is particularly important because it is absorbed by water, by any particles suspended in the water, and by floating organisms. Light intensity rapidly decreases with depth, and the quality of light also changes. Red light is absorbed more rapidly by water than blue light, being that red light is used in photosynthesis. The reduction in quality and quantity of light severely impairs photosynthesis below a certain depth. Biologists, therefore, recognize two zones in lakes and oceans: the photic zone, through which light penetrates, and the aphotic zone, where there is little to no light. Photosynthesis takes place only in the photic zone. If you have ever been swimming in a sea or lake, you may have noticed that the surface water is warm, while the lower layers are cold. Solar radiation is absorbed by the water in the photic zone, increasing its temperature. The temperature in the photic zone typically decreases with depth because warm water is less dense than cold water. As a result, the warm water rises to the surface. This movement can cause a very rapid change between the temperature of the warm upper layers and the cold lower layers. The change from warm to cold is called a thermocline. Oxygen and nutrients also vary with depth. Exchange of gases between water and air occurs in the upper layers, and the upper layers also contain phytoplankton, which are the main producers in many aquatic biomes. Phytoplankton produce oxygen as they carry out photosynthesis, and as a result, the upper layer of water typically contains more dissolved oxygen than deeper layers. Although most producers live in the upper parts of the water column, nutrients there are scarce because organisms rapidly use up the dissolved nutrients. In addition, when an organism dies, it will eventually sink to the bottom, along with the nutrients it contains. This results in the upper layers becoming nutrient deficient and the lower layers becoming nutrient rich. So the bottom of a lake or an ocean is called the benthic zone, and in deep water, this zone is cold and completely devoid of sunlight. The bottom may vary in composition, and it could be rocky, sandy, or muddy, and usually contains lots of organic matter, which is a rich source of food for different organisms. Decomposition in this zone may decrease oxygen levels in the water and may also lower pH as the acidic products of decomposition are released into the water. Salinity varies with the depth because salt water is denser than fresh water, and the salt water sinks and creates a salty layer. This salty layer is particularly common in places where the water freezes, being that ice is fresh water, and the unfrozen water becomes saltier when the sea freezes. When the ice at the surface melts, the freshwater layer floats on the top. Organisms within aquatic biomes interact in many ways, with the most obvious biotic factors being related to feeding. Trophic relationships vary with the type of biome, but in most aquatic ecosystems, microorganisms play a major role as producers. The microorganisms are mostly phytoplankton and they live suspended in the water and are eaten by microscopic animals called zooplankton. Above these levels, macrofauna play a key role in the food web, with aquatic food chains often being longer than their terrestrial counterparts. At this point, you should be able to generate a full and appropriate response to today's essential question. What are the factors that determine Earth's aquatic biomes?